Good evening. I'm Eugene Chan with Straight Talk. Our guest tonight is Dr. Simon Hui Lee, one of our electoral members for the Election Committee constituency. He is legally trained and is an expert on basic law, the Chinese legal system, constitutional law, and the development of the Greater Bay Area. Accordingly, he is currently chairperson of the Basic Law Foundation and chief strategy officer for the China Resources Group of the Greater Bay Area. We have invited Dr. Lee tonight to give us his perspective on what Hong Kong can take away from President Xi Jinping's recent visit. Welcome, Simon.
Hi, Eugene.
So we had a very happy occasion when President Xi came to Hong Kong. We have the new chief executive being installed with his new team, and President Xi gave a very good message to the people of Hong Kong. So, I mean, the media has a lot of coverage on the four hopes and four must. Maybe as a legislator, you can share with our viewers what are the main jigs of the four must and the four hopes.
Actually, presidency's speech is very complicated. It covers all over different aspects in Hong Kong and the development of Hong Kong, and even the history of not only for Hong Kong but also for our nation itself, and the role of Hong Kong in the history in the past 150 years. But to me, I think there are two key messages that is very important to Hong Kong. The first one is about the long way. We talk about what the first one is about the one country, two systems. It says that the one country, two system is widely recognized by the international community. There is no reason to change such a good system, and it must be our habit to over the long run. And that is the first time using over the long run to mention about the one country, two systems. I think it is very important to respond to maybe in some business sector or even in the society, people worry about Article 5 in the Basic Law. Because in the Basic Law, Article 5, it says that the Hong Kong system, the capitalist system, will remain unchanged for 50 years. And therefore, some people may ask in the past, then how about and what will we do after 50 years? That is 2047. And therefore, in presidency's speech, it's first time using this term to answer the question and the worry.
Right, Dr. Lee. What you're saying that President Xi had two key messages. Actually, I've also picked up the word he used, quite strong. He said that the one country, two system should be implemented unswervingly without deviating or wavering. Also, it be applied fully and faithfully without being bent and distorted. Very strong descriptive terms. So one question is, has the way that one country, two system been practicing in Hong Kong, has it been bent or has it been distorted in the last 25 years?
Of course, the one country, two system is a new thing that is created by China, by us. And therefore, we have to try and error for the past 25 years. And therefore, of course, within these 25 years, we overall is very success on implementation of this system. But of course, we face some difficulties. But these difficulties is not because of the one country, two systems, but because of the overall worldwide situation, and also maybe the social and economic development of Hong Kong itself.
Right, Simon, I mean, just now we mentioned about the four must and the four hopes. Maybe we can quickly go through the four must and four hopes because not everyone will be very familiar with it. So let's start with the four must. The first one is saying implement the one country, two system, not only as writing, but must be in spirit. Second one is integration of overall jurisdiction of the central authorities with the high degree of autonomy in the Hong Kong SAR. Third one being patriots administering Hong Kong and maintain Hong Kong unique status and strength. Out of the four must, tell us, in the last 25 years, did we have any problems?
Yeah, of course, as just I mentioned, we face some difficulties.
Yeah, in particular, which area do you think we had challenges?
I think in two ways and two aspects. First of all, the understanding. We must understand that the central authority and the high degree of autonomy is just like two faces of a coin. If we do not have the central authority's role in Hong Kong, we will not have the high autonomy. But in the past, because people maybe, especially in the early years, just thinking about how Hong Kong develop, how is our own life, but we ignore the role of the central authority. And therefore, this is the first problem that about the understanding of the whole political philosophy.
Right, so you're saying that in terms of, say, one country, two systems, it's not just two systems. It must have one country with two systems, right?
Yeah, one country with two systems. And without one country, we will not have two systems.
Right.
Because the two systems, the jurisprudence and the root of two systems is coming from the one country, coming from our constitution and also the basic law.
Right, and also must say, I think, very reassuring to the people of Hong Kong and the international community is that we have to maintain Hong Kong's unique status and strength. So that's something that, I mean, as I said, people are saying Hong Kong is just one country, one system. So our strength is being a capitalistic society, isn't it?
Yeah, that is the second over the long run. What I just want to talk about, because another about the talking about over the long run is about the capitalist system in both Hong Kong and Macau. If the one country, two systems is operating very smoothly and good, and the capitalist system in Hong Kong, both Hong Kong and Macau, can be over the long run. That
right.
is
So
what you just mentioned. Yeah.
Yeah, and let's talk about the four hopes: improve the governance, strengthen the momentum of development, address difficulties in people's lives, and also uphold harmony and stability. Out of the four hopes, do you think we're having, I mean, when President Xi is saying that, is it because we haven't been able to deliver, or this is something that they just want us to do better?
Of course, we have to understand that the world is changing.
Right.
Today's world is totally different from what was in 25 years before, and even it is totally different from what when we draft the basic law. It is 1980s in the it is about 40 years before. The world is changing already. In the past, Hong Kong as a free economy, okay, the government just make the rules, obey the rules, and keep the rules, and the market will operate itself. But the whole market and also the economic activities is changing. We all understand and consensus that high technology will be the future drive of our economic development. But it has some characteristics in it, including the quick investment and also long-term return, and also the high failure rate. And therefore, it really needs the government's policies to guide the economic activities in order to lower the cost in the market. For example, just like information costs, if the government can make clear guidance and policies to help the development of the high technology industry, and the cost can be lower, and therefore what we just mentioned in Presidency's speech is talking about the well-functioning government and the relation with the high-efficiency market.
Right, so you're saying that Presidency categorically mentioned he wants better governance, and that, of course, you just mentioned development, which is the engine for people better lives.
Yeah.
Right, and also another thing that I've noticed in his speech that he mentioned the word common law twice and emphasized the independent powers of the judiciary. And he said that Hong Kong would retain their own capitalistic system and a high degree of autonomy being promised. So do you think he's specifically saying this in public to counteract the rhetoric of the Western, saying that Hong Kong is no longer one country, two system, but one country, one system? Do you think he has done that?
Yeah, of course, absolutely. And under this speech and talking about the common law in Hong Kong, we can see that common law system is, of course, very important to Hong Kong, but not only for Hong Kong itself, but for the whole country. Because the common law jurisdiction in Hong Kong is the only one in our country. And our common law system, not only the statutes or the law itself, but also our independent judiciary has a very high reputation internationally, in the global. And therefore, we can think about more how our common law system can help the development of our country, like in the Belt and Road Initiative. Maybe we can think about that, how to push and how to make common that our common law system can be used in the Belt and Road Initiative countries.
Right. Simon, before we go to the break, I want to ask you a question. I mean, if people have read the newspaper knowing that the business leaders, the government officials, and even legislators have spent time in learning, understand more of what President Xi's speech is about, because it's pointing us a direction for the next 25 years. It's an important juncture. One point that I'm sure many viewers are going to ask me to ask you is that we all treasure Hong Kong's unique strength and status. But for example, in terms of COVID, I mean, we have different philosophies in Hong Kong, mainland, and rest of the world. So do you think we are caught in between? I mean, how can we sort that out if we're going to maintain our unique status?
Of course, wisdom, because we are in a very unique and special role, linking the rest of the world and the mainland. And therefore, no matter in what kind of aspect and policies, including COVID and also for the others, we have to be creative and create unique policies that is benefit to linking the world and also the mainland.
So you're confident Hong Kong will be able to overcome that and still be unique?
Aye, absolutely.
Right, let's take a break and we'll be right back. Welcome back. With us tonight is Dr. Simon Lee, and we have been talking about the implications of President Xi Jinping's speech for Hong Kong. So, Simon, in the first half, I think you have made it very clear that President Xi's speech about the 4 musts and 4 hopes. And
I hope it's clear enough.
Yes, yes. And also that one country, 2 system will stay. And Hong Kong will be able to maintain a unique role by having wisdom, as you just said, especially with COVID. So I know that you've been a basic law expert, relatively young age, but you have done a lot of studies in basic law, you've written a lot of books and everything. Maybe this is a very good moment for you to briefly tell the viewers, why do we have basic law and how did it all come about? And what was the biggest challenge when we were doing the consultation in the 80s before it was promulgated in 1990, the 4th of April?
Thank you, Eugene. A very simple answer to your question is because we have the 1 country, 2 systems, and therefore we need the basic law as a legal document to state everything clear with a legal aspect. And we can go deeper on that. As we all know that in the mainland and in Hong Kong, we have different social systems, including the economic one and also the social structure. And therefore, in the 1980s, we understand that, okay, Hong Kong is returning to the motherland, but both society, they have different system, and therefore we can't use the mainland system implement to Hong Kong, and therefore we have to use the 1 country, but 2 systems in Hong Kong and the mainland, and therefore we have the basic law as this background, and this is the background for why we have the basic law here. I think the most critical challenge in that moment is about the 2 jurisdictions. Hong Kong is working out with the common law system, and as we just talked about, it has a very high reputation globally. And in the mainland, it is the civil law system. Civil law system and common law system is very different. I am educated with the 2 systems, and I can understand how different they are. Even they are calling law, but they are quite different in the concept and also the philosophy.
Right. One question I'm going to ask you very quickly is, in the first half, you said that without 1 country, there's no point to the 2 systems, the 2 faces of a coin. Then why is it in the last 25 years, Hong Kong, basically we always concentrate on the 2 systems. Why is it that no one talk much about 1 country? Why do you think that's the reason?
I think I should comment like this. In the general public, not much people talking about the 2 systems. But in the legal experts and also in the political experts, we talk very frequently about 1 country. Just for an example, in our court in Hong Kong, there are at least 13 cases that our judges using our constitution as the base to make interpretation in the cases.
Right, I see. And another thing I want to ask you, the Western rhetoric, I mean, the media have been saying that, including our former governor, Chris Patten, is saying that China has breached the joint declaration that was in 1984. What are the main accusations are they making?
I think it is some kind of political intention to make such comments. But if we study the relation between the Joint Declaration and our basic law professionally with the legal aspect, we can see that all the content in the Joint Declaration are already included in the basic law. And at that moment, I mean, in the 1980s, when drafting the basic law, the British government has a lot of chances to make their comment on the drafting of the basic law, but they have no such comment or no further comment disagreeing about the content of the basic law today. And therefore, I don't think that with a professional view, that is a problem. But of course, Chris Patten is giving such a kind of comment with a political intention, just like what the United States is doing about in the world, challenging about China.
Right, Dr. Lee. So are you saying that the accusations are not based on facts?
Of course.
So you think it's groundless?
Yeah.
Right. And also, one of the things that we must talk about is Article 23. That hasn't been legislated at this stage. Do we still need it? Because since we have the national security legislation, what's the use for Article 23?
Of course, we still need it. Because Article 23, the drafting and the legislative of it is our responsibility, is our legal responsibility and also our constitutional responsibility. Of course, we have the Hong Kong national security law today, but the coverage of that is not fully coverage. It is just part of what is mentioned in Article 23. And therefore, for a more complicated and more security angle, we have to make the Article 23 legislation.
Right, so still needs to be done
of
to
course.
protect Hong Kong's interests.
Yeah, and also the nation's interest as a whole.
Right, just a matter of interest. What if we had Article 23 being enacted, if we go through the same ride again in 2019, that really has made the whole country, whole Hong Kong, down to a standstill, would that make any difference?
I think we have to see this question like this. Everyone enjoy freedom, and everyone hope that we do not have any law, because if without any law, we are totally freedom. But we are not living in a Robinson society. We have living together, you and me, and also other people in Hong Kong. And also, we have to make a balance between everyone's freedom and rights. And therefore, all the law, including Article 23, is to make a balance between you and me, between Hong Kong and other places in the country, and also other places, people and us. And therefore, we cannot only think about ourselves, cannot be so selfish. Of course, no law, I can enjoy all the freedom, but maybe I will harm another people. And therefore, we have law to make a balance between people's rights and their responsibility, and also liability and the freedom.
Right. Dr. Lee, not only you have experience in the common law system and also with the mainland legal system, you have always one of, if not the only person there you know, that have been working in the mainland government in Guizhou as one of the officials. So now you are being a legislator, so you know our officials, you've been in Hong Kong. So what are your views of, what are the differences between someone who's actually working in the mainland as an official compared to an official working in Hong Kong? I mean, I know you can't generalize, but what are your general feeling?
Very different, but they can learn from both. How to say it? In the mainland, as a mainland official, because they have the responsibility to establish the market economy and also to create and push the economic development, and therefore they have to also, not only they have to, but their responsibility to initiate new things. They will think about what kind of business we can do, what kind of industry I can do in my place. But in Hong Kong, our stringiness is when we give our to-do list to our officials, they can finish it very beautifully. I think this is the difference between the two places. But I trust they can learn from each other.
But you know, our Chief Executive John Lee has made a very strong statement publicly. He trusts that our our government team, our civil servants are one of the best, if not one of the best in the world. So how can we still improve our governance? I mean, we're being very unique being Hong Kong, and presidency say improve governance. So how can we do it when we are already quite good?
Hong Kong government and also the civil servants is very good in the world. But of course, we know that the world is changing, just like we just mentioned before. We hope that, and also we expect, the society expect the government do more than before. I think this is the main challenge that Johnny have to face in the coming 5 years.
Right, all right. All right, we have talked about the system, we talked about the government. Last part in the show, I'm sure people want to know, you also work in a mainland state-owned enterprise, the China Resources Group, and you are one of the strategic officer with the Greater Bay Area. So what are the company's view of Hong Kong? I mean, what are you going to invest in Hong Kong? Hong Kong, basically, we have no natural resources. We only have people. In terms of our young generation, they look at life very differently to the mainland young person, I think. So how are you going to invest in Hong Kong and make it worthwhile for both the company and for Hong Kong's benefit?
Actually, Hong Kong is very good, and Hong Kong has very good people here, very talented and very intellectual, and also we have very good universities. We have 5 universities at least in the top 100 always, and especially for like the biotech, medical schools, and also dentists are very famous and popular in the world and in the academic circle.
Right.
They have very good R&D results, and all these can be used to marketize and also to commercialize.
Right. Dr. Lee, one quick question before the end of the show. Presidency also went to Science Park on this trip, visited a few places in Science Park. Is that telling us anything?
I think he's telling the same thing I just mentioned. Hong Kong is a very good place, and also Hong Kong has its own very strong strengthness on R&D, on high tech, and also especially for some, for example, biotech, and also chips, AI, etc., and etc.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Lee, for coming tonight.
Thank you.
President Xi's presence is indeed a solid signal of the central government's support for Hong Kong, and his message is loud and clear that one country, two systems is here to stay in the best interest of our whole nation. Have a good week and good night.